Hi, I want to introduce you to the Learning Lab teaching format. First, currently I'm doing traditional group classes. I'm not doing the Learning Lab format yet. It requires building up a diverse student community of regular people who are at different levels. However, I want to tell you about the goal of where we want to go with this. I find a really good introduction to the Learning Lab format in philosophy is a learning insight I made on the UC Berkeley campus. I got a campus tour and they're always very happy to point out that there are parking spots reserved for Nobel Prize winners because they don't just have one Nobel Prize winner, they have many. And it's a really good marketing gimmick. And then someone explained to me that learning from a Nobel Prize winner is actually more nuanced. If you go to let's say a Physics 101 class and you have a Nobel Prize winner lecturing, you're probably in an intro class with 300 other students. It'll be amazing to be around this very special person and just feel their vibes and be inspired. However, you're in a class with 300 people. When the lecture is over, they're gonna run off because they don't care about Physics 101 anymore. They care about their research. If you ask them questions, they might have a hard time relating to you because your very basic struggles were completely obvious to them and they might not realize why it's not obvious to you. However, your teaching assistant, who's just taken the same class a semester earlier, he might be able to actually help you learn physics a lot. The teaching assistant in a small group is going to give you a lot more personal attention. And what you're struggling with, chances are your teaching assistant has been struggling with last semester and remembers exactly how he or she overcame that struggle. And though they can relate much better to you. So it's nice to be inspired by amazing experts, but a lot more actual learning you get in one-on-one time with someone who's maybe just a level ahead of you. So here's how the Learning Lab format works. If you come into a learning space for the first time, you get paired with a more advanced student and you're given a mini lesson. And the more advanced student knows the mini lesson. Let's say the mini lesson is to learn the basic. The more advanced student knows the basic and they're going to show you the basic, they're going to correct you hands-on, they're going to give you feedback, they're going to answer your questions. And if you struggle with doing the steps for a while, they're probably happy to repeat it because they're still pretty close to having learned it themselves. And they get a lot out of teaching it to someone else because it deepens their own skill in it. And then once you learn the mini lesson and you're solid with it, you can teach it to the next person. So in a Learning Lab, you switch between learning something from someone one-on-one to teaching it to someone else one-on-one. And here's an important thing to keep in mind. A lot of people are very positive about peer-to-peer learning, but a lot of peer-to-peer learning doesn't quite live up to the hype. And some of the reasons are they often put two people of the same level together. And then people are kind of uncertain on what to do, then they maybe exercise a little bit. The reasons why the Learning Lab works is because we put people of different levels. So the more experienced person can take charge and actually guide it and feels like they're empowered to give feedback and to guide.
True.
Also, lay people are pretty bad at figuring out what should be taught, how to structure a curriculum. So a lot of the heavy lifting teaching is actually in the curriculum. As there's a lot of thoughts that went into in which sequence someone should learn, there's a lot of thoughts that went into like how do you teach it to someone. And so instead of just two people being told to learn something from each other, they're given a specific mini lesson. And the mini lesson has like teaching notes. And those experienced person doesn't really have to know much about teaching, how to structure teaching. They're just kind of like, imagine you have to show someone where the bathroom is, right? You know what the bathroom is, you explain it to them similarly. If you're supposed to teach someone the inside turn, you look at the teaching notes, you see the steps that are involved in an inside turn, and then you show the other person, and they're probably gonna like do something weird, and you're like, hey, like, it's this way. And it makes it feasible for lay people to teach pretty well and to learn. Two common questions that people always ask is, one is, why would I teach for free? And in our experience with an Argentine Tango Lab that's been running for over 6 years is, people love the teaching part.
Yeah.
They learn a lot from it. Usually it's experience if I have to teach you something, I have to put what I know into words, and their head is usually in some kind of vague thing where they're like, yeah, I know it. But then if you have to explain it to someone, you have to actually, you get challenged to really express it. And then after they explain it to someone, they see the mistakes their learner makes or the questions they have, and all of this deepens their learning and understanding. Plus, a lot of people will say that it helps their self-esteem because instead of just being someone who's taught for like a long time, they can actually help another person and contribute something meaningful to someone else. The second concern people have is, I don't want to learn from another student because they might teach me something wrong. And this is where our curriculum structure comes in. A lot of traditional curriculums are usually done in a way where learning is viewed as a huge pile of information. I'm going to slice a huge pile of information into little cubes and I'm going to put them into a sequence. And it's very much information pushing. We found for peer-to-peer learning, it works a lot better to have little exercises. And if you have little exercises, you have concrete goals. And if you achieve the goal, it gives you the feedback that the lesson was transmitted successfully. And also, you have an app, and the app is a curriculum. So as a learner, you can look at the same teaching notes that the mentoring student has, and you can double check some. Plus, in the room as an instructor, so if there's ever like a dispute, you can go to the instructor and get answers. Yeah. Again, to reiterate, right now, I'm still teaching group classes because for the learning lab to happen, you have to have a few regular students at different levels. Like if 10 complete beginners come, that they can't teach each other.